let's understand what an NCD is. NCD, non-convertible debenture or a bond. By definition, a bond is simply a loan given to the issuer or the borrower by a bondholder, also known as an lender, whereby terms of interest payment and redemption dates are predetermined. What essentially means is, it's in single line, it is a loan given to the issuer. Okay? The legal document registering this loan is called as a bond, and the issuer or the borrower agrees to pay an interest rate and at the maturity agrees to pay the principal back to the investor. So bond or debenture is a similar word. Generally, bonds or the debt securities issued by government are known as bonds, and debt securities issued by companies or corporates are known as debentures. So when you are registering a loan agreement, there are few characteristics which needs to be mentioned. The first and foremost, the name of the borrower or the company becomes the issuer of the bond. Obviously, the issuer has to borrow money from a vast audience, and every investor has their own specific investment appetite. Some might be interested in only investing 10,000 rupees, and some investors might be interested in investing 1 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, or say higher amount. So the basic denomination on which, or a single unit on which the investor can invest into these bonds is known as the face value. For an example, 1,000 rupees. So if I'm an investor wants to invest 10,000 rupees in a bond, I will invest into 10 units of the NCD. यानी 10 bonds में subscribe करूंगा. Total face value of 1,000 rupees each. So total amount works out to be 1,000 rupees. That 10,000 rupees. This 10,000 becomes my principal amount. So, sorry, I am investing money. Obviously, I expect some returns on my investments. That return is in the format of an interest rate, also known as the coupon rate of a bond. For an example, 10%, यानी 10% मुझे ब्याज मिलेगा. When I'm earning that interest, there should be some format of an interest payment frequency. It can be, say, annual interest payment or a semi-annual, monthly, or for that matter, a cumulative. That becomes the interest payment frequency. Now, one more important thing which needs to be understood by an investor is a credit rating of that instrument. I want to invest money, but what is the credit worthiness of the issuer? At what rate he should borrow? What should be the fair price is determined by the credit rating agency. They do their due diligence and gives a reasonable credit rating to the issuer and this debt security. We'll learn more about the credit rating in the future slides. And once I have invested money as an investor, I want my principal back. The date on which the issuer agrees to pay the entire borrowed amount to the bondholder or the investor is known as the maturity date or a redemption date. Last but not the least, investor and myself as an individual investor or a corporate who wants to invest money. These are the basic characteristics of a bond. But why do companies or government borrow money? Companies wants to raise capital, and one of the format of raising capital is in the format of debt. The other format is definitely most of the people know about it, the equity format. Now in equity, what essentially the organization is doing is they are giving up their business share or control to the investor, whereas in a bond it is a format of a loan where the ownership of the company still remains with the issuer. Only an interest component is paid to the investor. The benefits of investing in an IPO for individual category of investors, for you and me. सबसे important parameter. So there is a low investment ticket size. I can invest in a public issue of bond with as low as 10,000 rupees. The face value of a bond when it comes to a public issue format is only 1,000 rupees. So minimum 10 units is what I can subscribe to. 10,000 and in multiple of thereafter. So 10,000 के ऊपर मैं 11,000 भी invest कर सकता हूँ, 12,000 भी invest कर सकता हूँ. This is the biggest advantage for an individual category of investors, and the amount can go as high as you can invest 10 lakh, 50 lakhs also in a public issue of NCD. Now, It is known as public issue, means the objective is to raise money from the mass market, from the public. So as a result, the issuers always tends to pay a better or a higher interest rates to the individual category of investors. Largely we have seen is anything between 0.10 to 0.25% as a higher interest rate for the retail or the individual category of investors. Since it is coming in the public issue format, there are high disclosure requirements by the regulators like SEBI and exchanges, and any issuer who comes in this format has to follow those regulatory guidelines. One more important factor in retail public issue, the first or the bigger bucket size allocation is given to the individual category of investors. So if say as a borrower has to borrow 100 crores in a public issue format, they will give at least 60 to 70% allocation for the individual category of investors and a remaining allocation 10 to 20 or 30% to the non-individual category of investors like institutionals or corporates. Yes, transparent pricing. You know the day on your investment is what your returns are in the format of coupon. So it is a transparent pricing mechanism. There is no price discovery required when you are investing into a public issue of an NCD. As regulatory suggests, public issue of bonds has to be compulsorily listed on the exchange. So the benefit to an investor is you have a liquidity, secondary market liquidity always available. Is it as good as buying or selling bonds from the capital market or from the exchange as buying any equity shares? And last and not the least, the most easiest format of an application, a simple form, fill in a few basic details and the bond is yours. Largely, they're divided into two main categories, the individual category investors and a non-individual category investors. Non-individual में category 1 is an institutional category. Category 1 institutional investors जिसमें banks, financial institutions, FIIs, FPIs, mutual funds, insurance companies ये categorize होते हैं. Category 2 is non-institutional investors or the corporate investors जिसमें public and private charitable trusts, partnership firms, AOP, association of persons, LLPs like limited liability partnership firms, or the corporate category जिसे कहते हैं. तो category 1 और category 2 combined forms a non-individual category of investors. And individual category of investors में category 3 and category 4 define होता है. Category 3 यानी कि high net worth individuals, any individual investor investing more than 10 lakh rupees is categorized as high net worth individual or a category 3 investor. And anything up to 10 lakh rupees or lower than 10 lakh rupees is categorized as category 4 or retail individual investors. I will reiterate, individual and non-individual, दो major headings हो गए. Within that, you have category 1 and 2, non-individual category में institutional investors and non-institutional or corporate investors. Category 3 and 4 in an individual category, which is basically high net worth, anyone applying more than 10 lakh rupees, and anything equal to or less than 10 lakh rupees is known as the retail category investor. One thing to be noted down is NRIs or non-residential individuals are not eligible to apply for NCD public issues. Only resident individual investors have the benefit to apply via the public issue route. For an example, if you're applying through online portal or the online format of an application, the first and the foremost is what you have to select your investor type or category. आप HNI category में आते हैं, retail में आते हैं, you can select depending upon the amount. Once you have selected this thing, the second point is what is the series you want to apply. So public issue में एक advantage ये होता है कि issuer gives multiple options of investments in the format of various interest payment frequencies and time schedule. Multiple tenure options, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year option, how long you want to invest depending upon your investment horizon or investment objective, and what is the interest payment frequency as an investor wants. Maybe a senior citizen would like to invest with an instrument which is a monthly interest payout option, or somebody who has a specified goal-based return and he says कि I want to have a cumulative payout, मतलब मेरे को lump sum पैसा at the time of maturity मिले. So those are the various interest payment frequencies and time horizon based series defined in the public issue. You have to select कि मेरे को कौन सा option or a series suits my investment requirements and invest accordingly. And then decide what is the amount you want to invest. 10,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, 5 lakh rupees, and so forth. So once you have selected your investment category and investment amount and series, you need to fill in your basic details. मतलब as an investor मेरे को PAN card required है, मेरा communication details and an applicant का communication details चाहिए, phone number, address. ये हो गया मेरा personal details. Then I require my demat details and banking details. डीमेट यानी कि मेरे पास एनएसडीएल का डीमेट अकाउंट है और सीडीएसएल का डीमेट अकाउंट. इफ आई हैव एन एनएसडीएल डीमेट अकाउंट, आई हैव अ 8-digit DPID and an 8-digit client ID. Or if I have a CDSL account, I have a 16-digit beneficiary ID. You have to enter the DMAT details जहां पे आपको bonds आपके credit होना चाहिए. Make sure that you fill in the right details when entering into these forms. Third and the last is आपका payment details. Anything up to 2 lakh rupees, you can invest via UPI mechanism. Anything more than 2 lakh rupees, it is via the ASBA mechanism. Now, even in UPI, as an investor, you can apply up to 5 applications. So as an individual investor, if I have to apply 10 lakh rupees, I can do 5 applications of 2 lakh rupees each. The applications are clubbed together on the basis of a single PAN. Once I have selected my UPI ID and I've just give the UPI ID, make the confirmation done. So आप अपना form review कर लेंगे. It's a pre-filled form. आपने जो series select की है, जो DMAT details select किया है, just verify they all are in correct order. आपका name, details, everything is in correct format. Review the form, review it, and simple submit it. Thank you. Your job has been done.
Any issuer, when he wanted to come out with a public issue, he has to file a draft red herring prospectus with the exchange. He has to take an in-principle approval from the exchange. He has to inform to the exchange about the issue opening. Based on these details, exchange create a web page on which all details will be available for the investors. When the issue is starting, what is the issue structure, who are the BRLMs, who are the RTA, which are the who is the sponsor bank. So all those details, and when the issue is starting, when issue is getting closed, all these details will be available on an exchange website, that is www.bseindia.com. Then thereafter, other things which he has to do, that he has to do, issuer has to do a basis of allotment with the stock exchange. Here they have to do it to the designated stock exchange. Generally, if issuer has chosen more than one stock exchange, then one of them he has to choose as a designated stock exchange, and the designated stock exchange supervise the basis of allotment. Then the final listing and trading approval is given by the exchanges, and then issuer has to do the post-listing compliances. In offer document also, he has to give the disclosures about the rate of interest, about if any, if it is a secured NCDs, then what, how much, assets are there covered for security, who are the debenture trustees, who are the management of the company, board of directors, all those details under various disclosures, like disclosure under the Companies Act, under SEBI or regulators, NCD regulations 2021 Act, and other additional information required by the exchanges. The applications to one or more recognized stock exchange for listing of which securities and assigning one of them as a designated stock exchange, obtaining in principle approval for listing of a debt securities on the recognized stock exchange, because any public issue is coming, it has to be get listed. Because if investors wanted to have a liquidity, they can go in a secondary market and do the selling. Otherwise, they can hold until the maturity. But if anything happens, whenever somebody need money urgently, yes, there is an option, there is a liquidity, you can go to a market and sell it in a secondary market. Then the other point which Harit is explained in detail, I appreciate Harit, about the credit rating. Yes, credit rating has to be obtained, otherwise you will not able to come out with the public issue. Then you have to enter the agreement with the both the depositories for the dematerialization of securities, because now no securities are offered in a physical form. All should be in a dematerialized form, which is a very helpful for the investors to handle the securities. Appointment of one or more merchant bankers, and one of them shall be a lead merchant bankers who will be taking a lead, coordinating with the exchanges, coordinating with the other agencies. That role is taken by the lead manager. And the appointment of a debentures trustees, registrar to the issues, and a sponsor bank. These are the must, for any public issuer to come with a public offer. What are the compliances they have to do? They have to give at least 11 days prior intimations to stock exchange of a date for which the interest of debenture and bonds and redemption of amount shall be payable. They have to give at least 2 working days notice of a board meeting where a fresh issuance of NCDs or NCRPs are going to be raised. Material events having a bearing performance and operations of a listed entity or any price sensitive interest shall be promptly informed to the exchange. Why promptly informed to the exchange? Because exchange in turn display it on its website immediately, instantly, for the benefit of the investors. So they will be appraised about what is happening in the company. So they can take a wise decision about the investment. Regarding the financial results, submit unaudited or audited financial results on half-yearly basis with a 45 days from the date of half year to the stock exchange. Again, same, when we file to the stock exchange, instantly it goes on a website. So all investors who are invested in that particular instrument of the company, they can go and see the results of the company, how his company is performing, and how their investment is a sale. Annual auditor results also shall be submitted along with the annual audit report and statement to impact of audit qualification, if any. Next slide, please. As I said, asset covering, 100% asset cover sufficient to discharge the principal amount all time for NCDs issued to be maintained. So it is if it is a secured NCD, all say for example, it is issued maximum for 10 years. So all 10 years, this 100% asset cover should be there. It cannot be said if earlier it was 100, now it is 90. No, for all those periods, it should be 100% covered. For unsecured NCDs, it is not required. The maintenance of asset cover is not required. As again, credit rating, here role of credit rating is very important. The review of credit rating done once in a year by credit agencies which are registered with the SEBI, and the same is forwarded to debenture trustees along with the other documents also they have to forward, that is annual report, notices, circulars, revision is rating. So in turn, these are submitted to the exchange and exchange display it on a website. So any changes in credit rating, it has to be informed to the investors, to the vast public in detail for the information of investors. Then there is a requirement of a record date for interest payment or redemptions. That is a 7 days working prior notice, 7 working days prior notice to be given to the stock exchanges, and the certificate to the stock exchange. Once the payment is happened, within 1 day, they have to give the certificate to the stock exchange. Yes, payment of interest or redemptions has been done to the investors.